Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be kind of diving into this question that I think is pretty interesting.
Okay.
It's about how central banks in developing countries should measure inflation.
Yeah.
And we've got we're going to look at this paper from the Journal of Monetary Economics,
Okay.
and it turns out that maybe the answer is not as
This is,
simple as you think.
it's a question with real impact on, people's lives,
Oh yeah, for sure.
especially in these economies.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's start with maybe just like a basic kind of overview.
Sure.
In most developed countries, they try to keep inflation, low and stable
Right.
by targeting something called core inflation.
Right.
So it's like, kind of the idea that if you just look at,
Right.
all the prices, but you take out the really volatile ones like food and energy,
Yeah.
you get a better picture of like what the trends are.
Yeah. That's the idea at
Yeah.
least.
And, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
On the surface, right? Like central
Yeah.
banks, they don't want to overreact to just like random price spikes, you know?
Right. Right.
Like imagine you're steering a ship through like really choppy waters.
Okay. Yeah.
You want to be looking at the like overall course you're trying to steer,
Right.
not every single wave that comes up.
I like that. That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
So,
It's like,
and we know
Mhm.
that a lot of, prominent economists,
oh, for sure.
they think this is the right approach.
Yeah.
But this research paper, it's almost like kind of throws a wrench in things a
It's like
little
the
bit.
challenges that.
Yeah, yeah, and it says
Yeah.
that when you're talking about developing countries,
Right.
core inflation might not be the best thing to target,
Right.
you know?
That's where the difference is between like developed and developing.
Let's go there.
Become really important.
Yeah. Yeah, let's unpack that a little bit.
Okay.
So they point out that in a lot of these countries,
Yeah.
a big chunk of the population is what economists call credit constrained,
Yeah.
meaning that
Meaning they don't
they don't have
really have like ready access to credit.
easy access.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
can't just like go get a loan
Right. If prices jump up.
when they need it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So think about it like,
Yeah.
if your income suddenly takes a hit
Yeah.
because let's just say, the price of rice goes way up.
Right.
And you can't easily borrow money to cover that gap.
Yeah.
That price increase, it affects you like way more.
Right. It has a much bigger impact on your
Yeah.
life than someone who can just go,
Right.
borrow a little money to tide them over.
Yeah, exactly. And we're not even talking about like a small number of people.
No, not at all.
Here, this
Yeah.
is like
In some of these economies,
Yeah.
food can be like 40 to 50% of a household budget.
wow.
That's huge compared to,
That's it.
like 10, 15% in richer countries.
Yeah, that puts it in perspective.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
Yeah. So if food prices are, kind of all over the place, which
Yeah.
they often are in these countries,
Right.
those swings, those ups and downs, they have like this really big impact on people.
They do.
you
Yeah.
know?
Much more so
Yeah.
than they would.
And that's where this research
Yeah.
gets really interesting.
Yeah, so they actually built a model
Okay.
to simulate what happens
Okay.
in an economy
Okay.
with these conditions,
Yeah.
right? Where you've got a lot of people who are credit constrained
Right.
and food is like a big part of their budget.
Right.
Um,
So what'd they find?
Yeah.
Did it back up this idea of like,
yeah. Did it support the traditional view?
yeah, targeting core inflation, yeah.
Yeah.
Or was it something different?
Let's just say the results. They kind of challenged the conventional wisdom.
Okay.
They found that in developing economies, like
Sure.
with those specific kind of conditions,
Mm-hmm.
focusing on core inflation, it could actually lead to even more instability.
Whoa, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
How could like ignoring those volatile prices make things less stable?
Well, okay, so think about it. Like
yeah.
the main tool that, central banks use to fight inflation
Right.
is raising interest rates.
Right.
Right.
Cool down the economy.
Yeah. The idea is to cool things down, slow down those price increases.
Yeah.
But, if people are already
Yeah.
struggling
Yeah.
and they can't easily borrow money,
Right.
raising interest rates might not actually do that much.
It might not affect
Yeah, to their spending,
their spending that much.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because their spending is driven more by their income.
Right.
right? Like how much money they have coming in right now,
Right.
which is heavily influenced by things like,
Like food prices.
food prices. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if food prices spike, they go way up.
Okay.
But the central bank is like, nah, we're only looking at core inflation.
Right.
They might not, they might not react enough.
So they might not like step in and try to
Yeah, they might not do enough.
do enough, right?
Yeah.
And that could lead to like even more
Yeah, exactly. More instability.
stability.
And, the people who get hit the hardest are the ones who are already the most vulnerable.
The ones that are already.
Yeah, the ones with those tight budgets.
Yeah.
No wiggle room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are they saying that like
They say,
in these cases it might be better to target headline inflation?
that's what they're suggesting, yeah.
The one that includes the food and
Yeah, it includes like everything. Yeah, headline inflation. Exactly.
instead of just core.
Yeah. Which is kind of,
That's interesting.
goes against what a lot of economists think.
It's like we're realizing that like the same rules don't apply
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah, context matters
Yeah.
a lot. And,
Yeah.
they go even deeper too.
Oh,
They talk about this idea of like an optimal price index.
okay. Optimal meaning.
They're like, an index that, according to their model at least,
right.
would lead to like the best outcome for the
yeah.
economy overall.
So it's like the ideal mix.
Yeah, the ideal mix of things to be looking at.
Okay.
And what's interesting is
Yeah.
this index, it still includes food prices.
Okay. So it still acknowledges that.
It acknowledges that, yeah,
Your food is a big deal.
which is a big deal in these economies.
in those economies. Okay, so food is in, but what's not in it?
Interestingly,
Yeah.
they found that import prices shouldn't really be given that much weight
Hmm.
in this optimal index.
Okay, I'm curious why would that be? Why would import prices
Yeah.
be less important?
Well, so
Okay.
what their model suggests is people working in industries that are like really dependent on imports,
Okay.
they tend to have better access to like financial tools and resources.
So they're less vulnerable to those.
Exactly. Yeah, they've got more options
Oh, okay.
for kind of managing those fluctuations.
This is really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
But I gotta say it's all pretty theoretical. I'm
Right.
trying to think like how would we actually
Yeah,
put this into practice, like
Yeah.
what are the real world
like policy implications.
implications of this? Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so for our listeners out there who maybe aren't economists,
Right.
is there a simple way to kind of
Yeah.
sum up what we've learned here?
Yeah, I think the big takeaway is the one size fits all approach to inflation.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work.
Okay.
What might be good policy in like the US or Europe
Right.
might not be the best choice
Yeah.
for a developing country.
And why is that?
Because those differences that we talked about,
Uh,
like access to credit,
yeah.
how important food prices are,
Yeah.
they really change how sensitive people are
Right.
to inflation.
That's okay.
What stabilizes one economy
Right.
could actually like make things worse.
Or destabilize.
And another one,
So it's almost like different economies need different tools.
that's a great way to put it.
Okay.
And this paper, they go even further.
Mhm.
They suggest that
Yeah.
governments could use things like
All right.
targeted taxes or like direct financial assistance
Right.
to kind of help smooth out
Right.
those price shocks.
So it's like instead of just relying on the central bank to control everything. Yeah.
We could also have the government kind of step in and help
Yeah, like using those other policy tools.
protect people
Yeah, exactly. To kind of buffer.
from those price swings.
Yeah, to buffer people
Yeah.
from those swings, especially the vulnerable households.
Right. So if you can kind of reduce that volatility that people are feeling,
Yeah.
in their everyday lives,
Right.
you can maybe lessen the need for the central bank to like react in a way that
Right.
might hurt other parts of the economy.
Exactly. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But I mean, realistically,
Yeah.
wouldn't that be hard to actually implement something like that?
You're right. There are definitely challenges.
Especially in a
Yeah.
developing country.
There are always political considerations.
Right.
And of course, in developing countries, you often have like,
Yeah.
maybe more corruption or just a lack of,
Like the infrastructure.
yeah, the infrastructure that would make these interventions even harder. So it's like this paper,
Yeah.
it's raising as many questions as it answers.
I think so, yeah.
It's kind of showing
It shows how much we still don't know.
how much
We don't know how all this
stuff works
really works.
in different situations.
Different contexts, yeah.
Yeah, which is what makes it so fascinating.
That's what makes it
Yeah.
so interesting, yeah.
Yeah, it pushes us to think beyond like
Yeah.
the simple models and consider like the real world
Like the impact.
impacts of these policies.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that economics isn't just
Yeah,
about numbers and theories.
right.
It's really about
It's about people.
people, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this has been
Yeah.
really incredible. I feel like we
Yeah. We just scratched the surface, but
just scratched the surface.
definitely given me a lot to think about.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And hopefully
Yeah.
our listeners,
Yeah,
Uh,
I hope it's sparked some curiosity. Yeah, maybe they'll start to.
maybe they'll start to like notice how those seemingly small price changes
Right.
can have like big effects on people's lives.
That's what I love about these deep dives,
Yeah.
It's not just about getting answers. It's
Yeah.
about
It's about like
new ways of
new perspective.
seeing the world.
Yeah, new ways of thinking about things.
Yeah.
Yeah, well said.
Well, thanks for joining me on this journey.
Yeah, it's been fun.
And to all you listeners out there, keep those brains buzzing,
Yeah.
and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.